relatively short walking simulator, as a monster would call it, but supposed to be heavily on story and exhibition.
Hey, I
And
know,
go
I,
ahead.
I know that's a negative term, but I don't. You know, some walking simulators are good. I think Firewatch is definitely one of those that probably look like a good walking simulator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see here. So the game is Unity based, and when you have a Unity based game, there's a tendency for people to try to take it the wrong direction. And when you try to like take it to develop like realistic environments, it just falls flat on its face. However, when you take like a nice stylized artistic direction, which it did in Firewatch, it ends up turning out extremely well. And I had some people asking me like when I was playing the game, like how does it look? How does it play? How good is it basically? And I was just like, ugh. It's hard to say. People are asking me, does it give you that sense of solitude like out in the wilderness? And I can surely say with the most resounding yes, it does. When you're out there and you're playing the game and you're in this their vision of the Shoshone National Forest of Wyoming, it is just breathtaking and brilliant in certain scenes, and it definitely feels like you are alone and isolated in this wilderness. The gameplay, not so much.
Why?
So,
Is it
yeah,
because it is an actual walking simulator, or?
it is. It is. It truly is. And I don't want to. I know the effort that these guys put into it, and a lot of these guys, I know they're really talented guys, and a lot of them are on my Steam's friend list. And but the fact of the matter is, they claim the game was 5 to 6 hours. It's 3 hours.
Oh no!
It's 3 hours if you're looking at everything and investigating everything. Um, and the story builds actually like really well. Like the first like hour and a half is very very strong. There's a lot of discovery, a lot of plot building, a lot of like suspense, and you're thinking what the hell is going to happen next. And then in the second half, it just kind of falls flat on its face.
Aw. All
There's
right,
there's a lot of quick story resolution that occurs, and it's nothing like you were imagining.
but the suspense does keep you playing the game.
Yeah, I mean you
Okay.
definitely play it through to the end. I mean it doesn't take that long.
So
And
what? Why did it fall flat on its face in the second half? Like, could you give like a reason why without giving away like the ending to it?
no, I really could.
All
It's
right.
so difficult to explain. So they're building up on all these different like plot directions. Like there's these two girls that you encounter early in the game who are just campers, and they're out there and they're reckless and they're lighting off fireworks in the middle of like a dry season in a national forest. And you go out there to say, hey, cut it out, stop fucking trying to start fires. And then all of a sudden, you encounter strange figures who are following you, and next thing you know, there's you're finding like radio towers that are recording your conversations over the radio networks, and there's this huge conspiracy that builds, and then it just results into nothing.
Oh, that sounds like it sucks.
It kind of sucked.
You were really looking forward to this game. It
Yeah,
looked pretty good. The teaser
yeah.
was good.
No, I will say visually the game is beautiful. The writing for the actual dialogue, it's basically you're isolated. You never directly very close encounter any other characters. Like I said, the other only two characters you ever even come close to encountering are the two women in the very beginning of the game. Which, if you've ever watched a trailer for this game, you've seen it. Like, so I'm not spoiling anything, but they maintain this sense of isolation very well. And the only other person you have contact with is this other ranger, basically at another Firewatch tower named Delilah. And your character Henry and Delilah have just extremely well written, meaningful conversations. They're humorous and witty and on the spot, and it's a good dialogue going through the game. But ultimately, I don't know. This is a tough one to call because the story builds up and you're expecting so much, and then it just falls flat on its face so quickly.
That's a shame. I mean, it got very positive reviews on Steam.
It's very positive. The Metacritic
Like every
scores,
other game.
yeah, Metacritic scores vary. The PC version is hanging at like a strong like 80 plus, like 82 or 83. The
Yep.
PlayStation 4 version had some tech issues that really drug its score down.
Hmm.
They've apparently patched it since, And then there's been some talk about, is the game worth the price they're asking?
Yeah.
A 3 or 4 hour game tops. Is it really worth $20?
Sounds like $11.99 is a better price point for this one, or $9.99 even.
It sounds like it's not going to be a problem when you just wait for the game to go on sale and buy it.
No, it's a good sale pickup. I'll give it that.
All right, Firewatch, not a recommendation then.
No, I think we should recommend it if you're going to buy it on sale.
Yeah, it definitely.
All right.
Definitely pick
That's
up on
fair.
Sale. It's worth experiencing. I mean, they definitely built something there. This model of this wilderness that they built, and the sense of isolation you get, and the writing, and there's some story there. It may not end up the way you want it to.
BOD, buy on discount.
Buy on discount. That's a good one.
Humble bundle.
Yeah. And
All
it pains
right.
me to say it because we expected a lot of this game.
Well, somebody did.
You did.
You did, yeah.
A lot of people did. A lot of publications had this game as games to watch for 2016.
That is true.
I've like No Man's Sky.
That's also one of my picks. So we'll see. What
Yeah, good luck there, buddy.
I-
All right. Papa, did you actually get to play any Fire Emblem Fates? You were really looking forward to it.
I didn't even. I actually didn't pre-order or do any of that until just recently.
You have failed.
Not Nintendo fanboy.
Dog. I literally worked 12 hours a day the past 9 days, and
And you-
all of
and
it
you-
in sub-zero temperatures or in a fucking blizzard.
Well, there's
Replacing a
another
fucking
12 hours in the
transformer.
day, sir, where you could have been playing
Yeah,
Fire
you
Emblem.
couldn't fit fucking Nintendo in your schedule? Come on.
No, because I
Not
tried
true
to fit,
fanboy.
a $10,000 payday in my schedule.
But you couldn't use any of that money to buy Fire Emblem Fates. You couldn't pre-order it or anything.
I ordered it yesterday. It'll be here like Wednesday or Thursday or some shit. I got it from the Amazon Prime, and I ended up buying the Conquest Pass. I figured I'll do that first, and then I'll go get the whatever the fuck path.
So next time,
the good path.
they'll talk to us about Fire Emblem Fates then, right?
God, I hope so. I hope another transformer doesn't blow up because A, we don't have another spare, and B, I think I'll just fucking hand in my badge.
All right.
Fuck
Well,
this
I'm
shit.
expecting to hear about your 3DS forays next time. AI, what did you play?
I played, I finished out Sly Cooper. It was a pretty enjoyable game. Not really like great, but it was decent, so I had fun playing it. And started playing Broken Age. I have a whole list of games I'm going to play next month. Hopefully it lasts the whole month. I don't think it will, but I'm playing pretty short games.
Hey, this man prioritizes.
You got some Street Fighter 5 in there too, didn't you?
No.
Oh.
Wow.
I'm not buying Street Fighter 5
Why not?
because it's not complete.
True that.
Ah, that's an interesting call. So
Huh.
we all presumed because you love fighting games and you had it on your list, you would pick it up.
No, I just put it on the list. It's Capcom though. I hate Capcom.
Oh.
So it's kind of,
Yeah, but I mean, it's Street Fighter 5. It's like Street Fighter's like the quintessential fighting game.
No, it's not.
I mean, if you ask, listen, we've had this
It's the
conversation
most
before.
popular.
It's the most popular fighting game. If you ask people name a fighting game, they're gonna say this was a Family Feud question. We would say Street Fighter. And it would be the number one answer. But I did hear that it was.
That might be up there.
I did hear it
Smash
was okay. Smash Bros. Maybe. I heard that like the multiplayer lobby was only like 2 people in a lobby, which isn't really a
Yeah.
lobby. Like
There's
the story mode sucked.
There's very little story mode. It's like maybe a couple battles and that's it for each
Like
character.
3 or 4 fights. Like
Yeah, and there's only 16 fighters, which is kind of small for a game coming out in this generation of fighting game. And most rosters have up to 30 now. So, but it's kind of understandable since it is a new game and everything. But they have there's a lot of things that they just didn't do for whatever reason. There's no arcade mode. There's no like trials or any of that.
Yeah.
They said they're coming,
Everything we hear about Street Fighter 5 basically alludes to definitely good, but definitely unfinished.
Yeah, you could even rage quit on matches, which is something that they should have known from all the Street Fighter games they had, and it would not count against you in ranked. So there's people just rage quitting fights online if you're playing ranked.
Yeah, that's major failure.
Yeah, I don't know how they released something this unfinished, but it is Capcom, so kind of expected that they would ruin the franchise.
Well, they have some kind of tournament coming up in March, don't they? Maybe that's like one of the reasons why they're trying to release at a time. And
need to be prepared for Evo.
Yeah, that's well. You know, we did play a fighting game on Friday. I don't want to talk about it because I got my ass handed to me.
Oh, you're talking about the sudden supplanting of Guilty Gear.
Yes.
That we're supposed to have.
Yeah. So okay, whatever. I'll talk about it. So Friday night game night is an IGC thing here that we do 8 or 9 o'clock Eastern every Friday. We were gonna play Worms Revolution, but Papa wasn't able to make it, and Audius ducked out. So it was me and AI. And Cyangia from Neutral Impact joined us as well. We played a little Guilty Gear Xrd Sign. And I won 0 matches, I think, against you. Maybe one when you were on like May or something. I don't know.
I don't think you won against.
Yeah,
May.
I don't think I won against at all.
I so take offense to the fact that you said I ducked out. And I was sitting there thinking about, I was like, should I take a picture of like my workstation right now just to show them what the fuck I'm doing? Because I know they're gonna say like, oh, Core just ducked out.
You got work to do.
Ramonfall, because I had no clue how to play.
That's
Ramonfall.
the one. Yes, I won against Ramlethal. And then Sayo took a round against your Elspeth, actually, which was kind of impressive. He rushed you down pretty well there.
I blame lag on that one, because I dropped a lot of combos.
Of course you would.
I wouldn't normally do.
You can blame whatever you want. You lost the match.
Wait, the whole match on Elspeth?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, it was like 3-2 or 3-1. I don't remember. It was.
I got pressure stringed pretty hard.
He did. It's like,
and then I kind of figured out how to play against him after that, but
yeah,
it was
interesting.
It was a foul on my part.
It was all right. I have the whole night on stream. I streamed it over at 1080p. It looks pretty good. Maybe I'll throw that up on the YouTube at some point and do some edits, do some a couple of the win matches here and there that actually look pretty good. Yeah, we did that on Friday, and I actually got to play a little Rise of the Tomb Raider over the weekend. I put in probably 2 hours in the game or so. I like it. I like it a lot. It's very reminiscent of the first Tomb Raider, as you would expect. The game looks graphically amazing, even on my 680. And all the upgrade stuff at the camps that if you play the first Tomb Raider, you can upgrade like survival and hunting and all these different skills and stuff. They're pretty much they're mostly the same, I would say. But
now,
there
when
is.
You say the first Tomb Raider, you're talking about the first reboot.
Yes, the Tomb Raider 2013. Yes, that one. The reboot Tomb Raider. The upgrading system is pretty much the same, although they did add the winter. Like you can add coats to her, like outfits to Lara, which aren't just like cosmetic outfits. They're actually useful outfits for the environment. So you want to, like for example, the first area you go to is Siberia, and you can. It comes with a default climbing red jacket thing that's also keeps her warm or whatever. I haven't gotten too deep into the gameplay to understand what they mean by keeps Lara cool or warm or whatever the case may be, or if it's insulated. But one of the winter jackets is white and allows you to, and it specifically says blend into the background. So I'd imagine some of the outfits allow you to are tailored to the type of gameplay you want to play, whether you want to be like a sneaky Lara or you want to be like a sniper type Lara to get up to higher places. Haven't gotten deep enough into it, but I'm sure it doesn't affect the gameplay too much. But the game looks good and handles really well, and looking forward to putting a couple more hours into it. Oh, and I did play more of The Witness. I finally got to the point in The Witness where I had to start keeping like a notebook next to me and taking pictures on my phone and flipping puzzles upside down and things like that, because they start to ask you to do like all kinds of weird stuff with the puzzles, like mirror imaging or backwards stuff, or just really complex stuff that like you could do on your own, but it's easier to just snap a picture or write it down and try to figure the pattern out. And I sort of slowed down a little bit on that game because that's like, I don't know, I was kind of drinking a lot lately, and that was really hard to focus while playing that game while a little tipsy. So I think I put it on the shelf for the time being. I may go back to it a little later, but not too much later, because I don't want to forget like the basic rules of the game that has taught me up to this point.
No, because forgetting those basic rules is going to hurt you severely.
Exactly. It's the kind of game you kind of can't put down for a very long time. You kind of got to finish it within a month or so, I would say, or however good your memory is, because you don't want to forget those basic rules. They do apply to the rest of the game as you go through.
Oh yeah, isn't failing like puzzles later like actually backtracks your progress?
Yeah, so a couple of the puzzles come in strings. Several of the puzzles come in strings, and if you fail like the current one, it will have you redo the previous one to it, which usually has a clue on how to do this actual puzzle. So it kind of assumes, well, if you didn't figure out the system to the previous one, then you're just guessing now. So go back and do that one and try to see if you find something else. Sometimes you just make a mistake, and by accident you have to go back. But for the most part, yeah, the game's teaching me stuff, and I do like it. The environments are still very beautiful, and I've gotten to a couple of new areas, so definitely like it. I think I'm in like the 7th area of like 20 areas. I've opened up 3 lasers, maybe 4, and I think there's like 7 or 8. So yeah, it's a good game.
There's 12.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot. There's still a lot of content ahead of me, so yeah, looking forward to kind of finishing it a little bit. Putting a couple more hours in. Don't know when, but we'll get around to it. All right, you guys ready to talk about some video game news?
Well, let's talk some video game news.
All right, let's do it. All right, so I've been told that the biggest news that happened in the past 2 weeks was game trailers officially shutting down.
Boo-hoo.
So I didn't use game trailers all that often, so this news to me wasn't like top of my list. AI told me I was crazy earlier, so I bumped up to the top.
No, he told me the same thing, but here's what I think of when I think of game trailers. Like when I go to YouTube and I search for a game trailer, and I want the official one, I end up getting a fucking game trailers, YouTube video instead of the official one. Like all they do is leech fucking trailers off of the official streams and relink them.
Well, they're really good at using tags, I guess.
Oh, they're
no.
Well, they were good.
To be fair, they have a lot of unique content too. Well, had a lot of unique content.
Well, tell me a little bit about it, because I don't.
Good at leeching tags.
I literally did not go to their site very often. Maybe around E3 time, but for the most part, I stayed away from game trailers.
They had tons of stuff. They had like Pop Fiction and the Bossman show and the Final Bossman, I believe it's called. And I mean, I went to them occasionally for stuff, but I wouldn't say they're my most frequented site. But I'm kind of sad to see them go. I do know that this is pretty big news across the gaming community in general. This is like the most commented article on NeoGAF, I believe, post or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, there's that. A lot of people really upset about this.
I mean, I can remember.
We might not be, but
I can remember a time
not affected in the least bit.
I can remember a time several years ago when I probably watched for a few years in a row, like the E3 stuff on their actual site. Like I didn't go anywhere else. This is before Giant Bomb, before like GameSpot was like really, really big. Like I went to these guys for everything because it was very easy to find like, the PlayStation trailers, the Xbox trailers, the PC trailers, back when like gaming was maybe a little more separated in that way. But not lately. Like I don't know. Maybe this is why they're shutting down. I'm not really sure. Like because I didn't go and look into this. I mean, I watched part of their farewell stream. They played Vice City, whatever. The guys were very emotional on it and stuff like that. Hopefully they find new positions somewhere else in the gaming industry and journalism and whatever. But I'm not like feeling this one. I guess like some other people did. I don't know what was big about GT. Like I don't know.
I feel like one of the big things is they had integrity. You don't see a lot of in video game journalists. So their reviews wouldn't be paid off like IGN's and all the other big Kotaku, Polygon. They didn't throw in social justice warrior messages and things like that. So they largely stayed out of Gamergate. So I mean there was that. So it's kind of going to be bad that they're gone.
Yeah, I mean hearing that,
I sympathize with you. This sounds like it was a site you trusted, to give you objectionable reviews of games and their trailers and whatnot, and that's going away, and that's a sad thing.
Yeah, especially if they had integrity, like you're saying. Like you only see that a lot from like the independent journalists. So if there was a site out there that that did this. Like I probably would have read more of their stuff if that was the case, you know. But I kind of get a lot of my media from like Giant Bomb and I guess the more like modern type places. I don't know. GT seems to me like such an old place. Like I remember going there, just not any time in the past like 5 years, I would say. But sad that some, you know, these guys are losing their jobs or getting repositioned or whatever the case may be. Like that always sucks, you know, especially if they're the kind of guys you said they were. So I hope that they find new homes somewhere.
Well, if they're good journalists and they have integrity, I mean, there are places for them to go. You know, one door closes, another door opens.
Hopefully, you know, I mean, I think if they stand out for that reason, maybe that makes it even harder to find a job because so many of these places are being bought off by advertisements and by companies, you know, are telling them to give good review scores and shit. So, you know, I hate to say that that's the norm, but let's face it, it is, and it sucks that it is. So,
yeah, we'll pour one out for the game trailers.
Yeah, we will. So let's talk about VR, because there's been some buzz in the VR world lately. All right, so let's start off with Oculus Ready PC bundles are now becoming available. What do you have to say about Naughty? Because you're the tech guy, so tell me, when you look at these Oculus Ready PCs, which I imagine it's the PC, and then Oculus is saying, these are the ones that we want you to buy or that you can buy that will be, you know, ready out of the box to use our system, right? That's what a bundle is. Are they going to be worth the price when you look at them?
If you are interested in VR, you should probably just build your own PC.
Yes, but they're also going with the accessible angle, right? People want to buy something ready to go that they don't have to build. I mean, that's been sort of the taboo with PC gaming from the beginning, right? It's too hard to get into.
Minutes it takes to build a PC. I mean, no,
you know,
they'll do this.
It's tough to call. So some of these bundles are not bad. Pretty much, if you look at all these hardware bundles from Asus, Alienware, Dell, every single one of them is, you know, in a modern processor, basically like an i7 or an i5, built around a 970 GTX GPU, which is the bare bones spec for Oculus, for HTC Vive. You know, this is what you need for this level of gameplay. And these platforms are not all that bad. If you look at their actual prices for the lower level ones, they're, you know, anywhere from $1,000 to about $1,500. I think the best one I saw was an HP that was out the other day. It was an i7 6700 with 12 gigs of RAM, a 970, and like a 2 terabyte hard drive, and it was like 816. That was just for the PC. So toss on another, you know, 600 for the Rift itself. But that's basically your entry level gaming. Well, not that's your more higher end game level system these days. So these prices aren't bad. What irks me here is when you start the severe just gouging that they're doing on increasing like memory, increasing RAM, or increasing the hard drive space. They're just flat out fucking gouging people, and it pisses me off.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of these rigs are like a 1 terabyte drive, which is, I mean, it's 2 terabytes would at least be
like
the standard.
$60.
Yeah, and those
1
aren't
terabyte drive,
right?
$60.
Much,
yeah, well they'll charge you $400 if you want to go from like a 1 terabyte drive to like a 4 terabyte hard, just spinning platter hard disk drive, not solid state. They'll charge you like $300-$400.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So buyer beware, honestly. Like, I know a lot of people who listen to this podcast may not be PC people, but if you're looking at one of these systems and you see this small hard drive, don't pay the $300 to get a bigger hard drive. Go on Newegg, buy a better hard drive yourself, you know, and then just eBay or fucking Craigslist that other hard drive, whatever. Keep it around as a backup drive. I mean, you could do so much better. Like,
you could.
It pisses me off because, like I've always said, a gaming system is not that far out of reach from a business system. You know, most of these business class systems, if they have a decent power supply, you can throw in a decent video card and you're good to go.
Yeah, I mean, when
start,
we break it down and you look at these builds that Ars Technica is showing us, you're looking at a high-end, like a high-end i5, which, you know, whatever, a 6400 is
more than adequate for gaming.
A 970, which, you know, are $200 to $300 in the market right now.
$300.
They're coming with games nowadays. DDR4 8 gigabyte, which again is becoming standard, and a 1 terabyte hard drive. But you could do better and get a 2. I mean, then you got to buy a motherboard, a case, and a CD-ROM drive, whatever, you're good to go. Probably around $700 or $800, like if not less than that, you know. And yeah, this stuff is. I mean, you know, it always there's an irony to telling people that something is. This is Oculus ready, because then they show you the CPU, the GPU, the memory, the storage. But unless you know anything about PCs to begin with, it doesn't mean anything. You know, it's like walking into, you know, trying to buy a really expensive car when, you know, you've owned like a fucking Volkswagen Bug and they're telling you all the horsepower and all this shit, like stuff that the terminology is beyond you to understand anyway. Like if you understood what any of this is telling you and you saw, well, I can Google every one of these specs, it's not going to be $11.99 MSRP or $9.99. I can get all this shit for much cheaper, put it together myself in half an hour, and I've saved $300, you know?
Yeah. Just know they have bigger numbers and... That's all that matters, though.
Just pisses me off. Like there's an Alienware here. That's an i7 5820K with a 980 GTX GPU, 16 gigabytes of RAM, a 2 terabyte hard drive, 128 gigabyte SSD. And they're wanting $2,600 for that thing.
That's
I'm
insane.
Like, holy crap! Like, come talk to me first, and I will show you where to get a better computer.
Yeah,
I built my computer
for half the price. Half the price.
5 years ago, I built my computer, and it didn't cost me that much money. So,
and mind you, I mean, they're not even talking about. I mean, they have like the game price and then the bundle price, whatever. But a lot of these aren't even telling you that they come with the actual headset, right? I mean, this is what you're going to pay for the desktop right now, and then you'll get whatever else later on.
Right, and this is the mountain that we have to climb. This is the huge problem here in getting VR adopted, because until, you know, Sony's PlayStation VR is out, this is what we've got. And so if you want to get VR out there in the marketplace, people need a decent quality gaming computer, and they're out there. I'm just saying, buyer beware. You know, understand you're going to get gouged if you want to go for a larger pool of base memory, RAM, and a larger hard drive or a solid state drive, and you're going through these OEMs. You are going to get put against the wall, because that's where the market is.
Yeah, you're better off going to Staples when you get your PC and buying the hard drive separate and learning how to put it in with a cable.
And there is nothing easier on upgrading a computer than upgrading the memory.
Yeah. It only goes in one spot, people.
It only goes in one spot. It only fits in one way.
It's real fucking simple.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I built my own PC 3 years ago. I'd never built one before. It was really simple. Everything's plug and play for the most part.
If you want more storage, you can go buy a new hard drive or a new solid state drive. It's a little tiny cable. You plug it in. You're good to go.
Very, very simple. All right. So HTC also finally announced their price. So when last time on the podcast, we talked about the Oculus Rift, which had just talked about its price point at $599, and there was some talk about the HTC Vive going for a heck of a lot more, and we made some predictions here. And it turns out that Japan's president Hiroshi Tamano had said that the price was not going to be unreasonable, and he was right, I think. So the price point is $799 for the HTC Vive. It still requires basically an entire fucking room in your house, but
it doesn't require that.
Okay.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. You can use the standing only room, whatever thing. But
at that point, why aren't you just using the Oculus? That's $200 cheaper.
That might be a point.
Because for one, the Oculus doesn't come with the motion controllers.
That's right. It comes with an Xbox.
Yeah, but the motion controllers only equal $200. So.
Oh. No, but so here's what you're getting. So for $799, you are getting the motion controllers, the 2 room scale movement sensors, and a couple games. You're getting Job Simulator.
Yay, Job Simulator.
Archive, which is, I have not seen this one. I need to look into this one.
I've seen it.
But and you're getting Fantastic Contraption. I have seen Fantastic Contraption. Fantastic Contraption looks pretty cool.
Job Simulator is basically like Goat Simulator, only you're working in a cubicle and you get to throw things around the VR and stuff.
Yeah,
that
and
makes
Fantastic
perfect sense.
Contraption is you're kind of sitting in this little like sandbox area, and you can go like pick up various tools and components, and you put them together to build machines to accomplish like objectives that they throw at you.
It sounds like an interesting game.
It's more of a tech demo, but it's entertaining.
I mean, at this point, a lot of these games are tech demos, right? I mean,
now I will give you some insight here. The HTC Vive is a Steam VR platform. It is built around Steam VR. which a lot of developers are embracing right now. There's a lot of contention between like the Oculus people and the Steam VR people, and a lot of developers are saying the Steam VR stuff is easier to build for.
Right, and Unity's teaming up with Valve VR, Steam VR as well, right? To produce
that's not saying a
games
whole
on
lot,
that platform.
Yeah, but Unity and Oculus have been hand in hand for a long time.
Are they going to upgrade the engine to work better with VR stuff? I mean, is that kind of what they're going for?
They're going to have the SDK built into the engine.
All builds of Unity, like the latest builds of Unity, have always included the latest build of like the Oculus SDK. So just what they're saying is now we're also going to include the Steam VR stuff.
Well, that's good.
No, it's very good.
VR is still way too. I think VR is still unreasonable. I mean, this is too much to pay for VR for it to be adopted.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, it seems like but first generation buyers are always going to be
man. No, we didn't put it on here, but there was a rumor that the PlayStation VR is going to be $300.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw it closer to $400, but
yeah, full $430 for the bundle with the Move controllers and the game.
Well, let's talk about that though.
Even that's also, a lot though.
With those rumors, there were rumors and there were also statements from Sony saying that the Steam VR platform, or I'm sorry, the PlayStation VR platform that you purchase now is going to be the platform that you use on the next generation PlayStation. So if you buy it now, it's going to be good for the PlayStation 5.
I mean, that's great and all, but that's not going to necessarily push units out the door at $430 when, I mean, they told us it was going to be the price of an at-home console. That sure, at launch, an at-home console is $400 with no game. So that is in line with that statement, but it's also at the top end of that. And if you're telling me, oh, it's going to be good for the PlayStation 5 and for the stuff that we're going to be putting out now with our own studio, that's good. But again, we have to see games. We need games. We need reason to spend that money. And Sony hasn't done that any better than anyone else yet.
And you do have to keep in mind that this is going to be an inferior product compared to the Oculus and the Vive. I mean, you're talking about something that's not quite as good spec-wise. And the Move controllers are not as good as the controllers for the Oculus and the Vive. Not even by a long shot.
That's true. Not by a long shot.
Which makes me seriously question the validity of that statement that if you buy a PlayStation VR, you're good, like through the PlayStation 5.
I'm sure it'll come out with one with better specs.
Right, and it'll be cheaper when it comes out. The next time around it'll be maybe $50-$80 cheaper, whatever. Be a Black Friday sale on it to get it at much cheaper, whatever. But I also want to highlight too, because you put this article in here and I was actually reading through it, that we talk a lot about video games and VR because that's sort of the big buzz thing that goes on. How is it going to help us interact with entertainment, and video games are a big part of that. But
this is a video game podcast.
It is a video game podcast, but I mean that's what VR has been shown to do. Even at these big shows, they talk about it in video game context. But Sci-Fi is also interested in bringing a series called Halcyon to the VR headset as well, to the Oculus specifically. And so this is kind of other parts of the industry sort of reaching out and seeing like, well, what can we do with this headset? And this is kind of maybe the first big one. I mean, Sci-Fi does weird stuff. They tried that whole like Defiant. Remember when Defiance was out a couple of years ago? It's an MMOFPS. They were trying to like sync it up with the show, and there was some talk about another game that was going to be like that. Was it Quantum Break? Or was it another game? I can't remember.
It's not Quantum Break. I know that.
I can't fucking remember what the hell the game was. But that never happened, and now they're talking about doing this like VR crime unit game or show like on the headset. I think it's interesting, but I don't know exactly where they're going with it. Is it going to hit the mark? Like, I guess this is them testing the waters, right?
As an early adopter and somebody who owns a DK2 Oculus set, VR and cinema, like and film and TV, go hand in hand. Like, oh my god, it's such a perfect fit. Like,
I can see that.
It truly is. Like, you can put yourself into like an IMAX environment and throw an IMAX movie up on your IMAX screen in your VR headset, and there you are.
To me, the VR application of porn is above the VR application of gaming. So
it's porn, games, and movies, right? Sort of the pecking order here.
Probably, yeah.
But isn't that what it takes for any platform to be successful?
That is true.
We can honestly go back and attribute to a lot of the DVD, platform success to porn.
DVD, Blu-ray, all that stuff is porn and Disney. If porn and Disney gets on board, then that's what's going to be the next thing.
I will say, like, if you've never seen a 3D movie, like outside of an actual movie theater, a VR headset is the perfect place for it.
Yeah, no, that would be the at-home experience that you want. Because 3D televisions didn't really take off. Like, that wasn't a thing that happened. But the headset thing, that could be a thing. If you could somehow, justify your purchase as this isn't just for video games, this is also for other forms of entertainment. Suddenly, you're thinking about a better value proposition when you're talking about throwing $600 down on something. Like that could be a big deal,
Also, you just need the display. You don't need to worry about controls and
That's right.
space and all that other stuff that these other VRs are worrying about.
You just need a nice recliner.
Yeah, some of the virtual cinema applications were some of the very first development applications to come to the Oculus Rift and the Oculus Rift DK2, and they were very well done. And some of them are becoming commercial products right now.
Oh, this is good. This is good to see Sci-Fi doing something. I mean, they always seem to have money to throw around, and then shows to get canceled. So I'd be interested to see how this one shapes up.
I was going to say, right now, Sci-Fi's got a fairly good series with the Expanse. I don't know if any of you guys have watched it.
I haven't started it, but I'm gonna.
Read the books. Okay, you should. As somebody who has, read the books and watched at least the first season, it's a good adaptation. So to do something like that in a VR environment would be amazing. I would love to see that.
I will be downloading those tonight, most likely after this. Because everyone's been telling me to watch it.
Read the books first. Read the books first.
I don't have time, unfortunately. But maybe I will. Maybe I'll watch the show and then read the books. Sometimes that happens. All right, let's talk about some other tech news. So Amazon finally released its free game engine called Lumberyard. It's now in beta. It's sporting native Twitch integration, and it's going to be relying on the Amazon Web Services. So I know some of you guys played around with this for a little bit, right? What did you think?
It's a spur, an offshoot of CryEngine, and it's a very difficult platform to use.
Is that about it in a nutshell?
I don't think it's that difficult to use. I mean, to make alterations to the engine, sure, it's much more difficult than Unreal or Unity. But if you're just using the engine to make a game, you're not worrying about too much about the about changing the graphics engine and the rendering and the physics and all that, then it's not going to be a big deal. But I don't really see, like we were discussing this in chat and the Google Hangouts for the community, the purpose of it beyond like Unity and Unreal, like what advantage it has over that. It does have a multiplayer service built in, so it's easy to add multiplayer, but you have to use Amazon's web service to do multiplayer unless you're using your own servers. And it's quite expensive to do that. But it is a bit more convenient than adding multiplayer for Unity or Unreal.
I mean, so thinking about, I want you to kind of think about the potential of this engine, because Amazon has been doing quite a bit in the background, scooping up game developers and, buying IPs and stuff like that. Is this engine going to be something that's going to be able to produce games that are worthy of those people and that are going to be worth buying? Because I think that's kind of what it's about, right? They have all these developers, they're making an engine, now they're going to start making games with this engine, right?
It's a CryEngine, so obviously it's just a modified CryEngine, so obviously it's gonna be producing games of quality of the CryEngine, but whether you want to use this over Unreal 4, which can produce basically the same quality of games, I think you get a little bit of a performance boost with Cry, but it's a lot more complicated to code for, so there's a lot of issues with code readability and all that, which I'm not going to go into, but yeah,
it is worth mentioning that in the event of the zombie apocalypse, that your Lumberjack games will no longer be dependent on the Amazon, web system, basically. It is actually in the EULA, if you've not read through it.
I have not.
So, Article 57.10, acceptable use. Safety critical systems. Your use of lumberyard materials must comply with AWS acceptable use policy. The lumberyard material is not intended for use with life critical or safety critical systems, such as in the operation of medical equipment, automated transportation systems, autonomous vehicles, aircraft or air traffic control, nuclear facilities, manned spacecraft, or military use in connection with live combat. There is an addendum here.
That's
However,
good to know.
However, this restriction will not apply in the event of the occurrence certified by the United States Centers for Disease Control or successor body of a widespread viral infection transmitted via bites or contact with bodily fluids that cause human corpses to reanimate and seek to consume living human flesh, blood, brain, nerve tissue, and is likely to result in the fall of organized civilization. So there you go. There is your out.
That's fantastic. So you're good to go to create anything you want with this, except they won't cover it in the event of the zombie apocalypse. I feel safer already knowing that manned spacecraft won't be used. Won't have this running in them. Naughty, when you talk about the second thing here, is this worth mentioning here? This Chronos Group API thing?
Yeah, it is. So AMD has this little group under them basically called the Chronos Group, and they have now released version 1.0 of what they're calling now the Vulkan API, which is the next generation of OpenGL, which is heavily based off of AMD's Mantle API. So this is kind of a platform agnostic, like independent version of DirectX 12. And frankly, like I'm looking forward to seeing games developed on this, because games using this platform should run extremely well under Linux and Mac OS, and not just Windows platforms. We've seen what Mantle can do for like the AMD platform. AMD has tremendously shitty drivers. They run terrible under Windows, but when combined with their Mantle API, the actual AMD video cards are able to almost keep pace with like NVIDIA's chipsets and drivers. And the sad thing is, when NVIDIA chipsets are running under these cards, or these drivers rather, they tend to maintain their frame rates, which means NVIDIA definitely optimizes the drivers much better. But the fact that we're seeing AMD like push forward here is a very good indication for the state of gaming. It means, down the future here and towards the latter part of the year, we're expecting 2 new chipsets, basically one from AMD, one from NVIDIA, that driver-wise, they should not be inhibited too much performance-wise.
Okay.
So we should see good price competition, basically.
But bad for NVIDIA, good for AMD.
Bad for NVIDIA, very good for AMD.
All right. Let's get back on track. Let's talk about Blizzard. Because Blizzard is a very strange company.
Yeah.
So Blizzard recently said that they really, really believe that real-time strategy games have a place on mobile phones. Because apparently they don't have a place on PC anymore, really. How in the hell do you implement... I mean, maybe I'm thinking of old school RTS. I'm thinking about StarCraft, Warcraft. On a mobile phone. Because as far as I know, things like Clash of Clans and shit like that, those are kind of RTS games.
You ever see, like... I don't think Clash of Clans is it? I haven't not played Clash of Clans, so I have no idea, but...
I'm taking a shot in the dark
like
here.
Horde type games where you make a bunch of units and then you direct them. You can do it with a touchpad.
Yes, I have seen
those. And then they go and attack. Yeah, that's pretty much what it's going to be, I think.
So Blizzard's going to go into mobile development to make these kinds of crappy games, right? With microtransactions and all that other shit.
Who knows?
Blizzard,
they're already in mobile development.
Yeah, I was going to say, Blizzard Activision are not stupid. They see the massive amounts of money available to them on mobile phones and mobile devices, and they want a piece of it. So if they can somehow convert their franchises over to those platforms, they're going to do it.
I mean, I know that they're interested.
Did it with Hearthstone, right?
They did.
iPad, Android phones now. Yes. You can play that show on your phone.
Yeah, and it runs really fucking well on those platforms too. Like Hearthstone looks really good, and the touch ability is great. No problems with it at all. Yeah, I mean, obviously Activision is interested in mobile. I mean, they bought King, right? I mean, how much fucking money they spent on that shit? But to see Blizzard specifically wanting to do that is interesting. They also want to give away a copy of World of Warcraft and all the expansions up to the most recent one to anyone who goes to see the Warcraft movie this summer when it comes out, I think. this is kind of interesting or
Okay,
funny.
well, 2 points. The movie looks terrible.
The movie looks terrible, yes.
And that's my considered opinion. However, the game at this point also looks terrible. This
The game does look bad.
No, honestly, like there was a point in EverQuest, the original EverQuest, where they had a user base, and the user base was phenomenally dedicated to the game, but the user base was saying, you know what, the game looks fucking terrible compared to what is out there now. And you know what they did? They rewrote the engine basically and increased the visuals, upgraded them substantially. So why has Blizzard not gone this route yet? Like, you've got this widely successful game, you've got a huge player base, so go in there and do the work. Migrate to a new engine with new visuals and maybe add a lot of gameplay potential, but they haven't done it.
They actually have.
They've done one graphical update, right?
Yeah, they increased it just the same as EverQuest. They boosted the models and they didn't rewrite the whole engine. They just made models of more polygons and.
I don't know.
But it still looks like crap.
It still looks very old, though. Yeah, it does. But I guess them giving out copies of the game, are they trying to get people into world? Like, I don't see how people get into an MMO just because you give them a free copy of it. There's tons of free to play MMOs out there that people don't latch onto. Why would WoW be any different? I mean, does Blizzard think their product is that amazing?
You'd be surprised. I mean,
they don't have anything to lose, right? I mean, the software to them is nothing. I mean,
you give people a month free and a code to go download the game and play for a month free. What does Blizzard lose? Nothing. They already have the server capacity. It's been dwindling for years.
True, they are down about 40% of their user base, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, but we could bitch about that. But they're still making they still have 6 million subscribers or some ridiculously high number.
Nobody's arguing the fact that they're the most successful MMO out there still to this day.
Yeah, they are.
You just said they should just give up on the game. Not when it's making them, millions of dollars.
No, I think they need to be thinking about migrating those people to a new platform and getting new gamers.
Yeah, or complete follow-up to World of Warcraft. I mean, I don't know what you'd call it.
I honestly think they were planning to do that, but then they're like, with Titan, remember, and that got canceled.
Right.
Because they probably figured, hey, we're going to probably take people off World of Warcraft, which is making us money. Why would we do that? Why would we compete with ourselves?
Because if you make the transition seamless, say, hey, your World of Warcraft characters will still exist in this new world, only we're going to build upon it.
Then why would new people want to play it when there's already people running around with max level characters with max level gear?
Oh, Blizzard, just make a StarCraft universe MMO and you'll be good to go. Just move everyone from there to there, and everyone will be fine. Parent company Activision has just confirmed that the Destiny sequel is delayed until 2017. But there is another expansion coming out this year for Destiny. Hooray! The last one did pretty well, from what I gathered. Is this good news for Activision?
No.
Well,
here's a better question. I was under the impression that Destiny was this 10-year plan or whatever, and now they're talking about a sequel. Is that in the Destiny plan? The making Destiny 2 or what? I don't get it. I thought it was one game that was going to last 10 years. Or was that just a short-sighted plan?
It's so hard to tell because the reception on Destiny is so mixed. You've got people who say it's phenomenal, and you've got people who say it's crap. And they don't publish numbers about what their player base is like. I mean, it's so hard to tell about this game.
Yeah, it seems like they try to cover their tracks quite a bit with Destiny.
I'm guessing is not nearly as successful as they wanted it to be.
The only thing we know is that it has something like 20 million plus registered users or whatever, 25 million or something like that. I don't know how many of those are active players, though, because everyone that I've talked to that actually played Destiny no longer is actively playing Destiny. And that's probably 10 players.
I could tell you that this game probably had one of the biggest marketing budgets I've ever seen. It's equal to maybe a Call of Duty's
phenomenal.
Game. Yeah, a lot of commercials and stuff, yeah.
Probably the marketing budget was not shy of the actual production budget.
No, I would say it's at least 4 times as much as the production budget, considering things.
All right, well, if you're looking forward to Destiny 2, next year, I guess, whatever the Destiny sequel.
Maybe they should think about releasing on the PC side too.
Maybe, because I feel like that game would work better on the PC. Just
but
maybe.
They don't want the PC players playing with the filthy console peasants.
No, they'll force you to use a gamepad or something. It'll be crazy.
Well, you don't play cross-platform on the consoles either. So
why not?
Well, that makes sense because Microsoft doesn't like Sony people, so
doesn't make sense with the PS3 and the PS4 and the Xbox 360 and the Xbox One.
Yeah, I don't get it. All right, so Microsoft has decided that having the Tomb Raider exclusive wasn't good enough. They're going to throw some money at Ubisoft now to try to get the DLC for The Division for the first 30 days exclusive to the Xbox One.
Jesus, you really got to be scraping the bottom of the barrel here. And I know we're going to talk about Xbox One exclusives here very soon, but this is ridiculous. Like, why? Why would you even bother trying to wrap up this exclusive?
I don't know. I mean, I've been watching Kanye stream The Division. The user interface, by the way, looks beautiful in the game. The game looks really great. I'm not sure what Microsoft's angle is on this. Maybe this is a better play for them than Tomb Raider was, though, because it is a shooter. Maybe this is the direction that they want to go in. I mean, I can't wait for that Microsoft conference in April because I really want to know what direction Xbox is actually going in. Because I'm not sure that I'm aware anymore. Like, it seems like they're just all over the damn place trying to reach for something, and this is another example of them reaching.
Well, let me segue into our next news topic here then.
Yes.
So we know now that Forza Horizon 3, Gears of War 4, Scalebound, and Forza Motorsport 6 are going to be making their way to Windows 10 also. So they're now a PC game. And they are now joining Quantum Break, Gears of War Ultimate, Fable Legends, ReCore, Killer Instinct, and Halo Wars 2. All of these games were Xbox One exclusives, and all of these games are now Xbox One and PC. What does that tell you?
It tells me that Xbox doesn't have a lot of faith in their product, that they're willing to let these games stay within the Microsoft family, but also taking a lot away from the Xbox One in doing this. Because these are games that, Gears of War has only been on Xbox, and while people did clamor for it to be on PC, actually, there were later ones on PC. Okay, like I guess it's gonna follow that trend well for PC gamers, which I don't mind. But the Xbox One people, like, what are they getting out of this? Like, I mean, at least it's not going to a Sony platform. At least they're keeping it in family and house. Like, I'm confused on what Xbox One is doing. Like, why aren't these games exclusive anymore? Could they not afford to hold on to them as exclusives? I'm not sure.
So, as the resident spokesman for the PC Gaming Master Race here, I feel I need to chime in. So, look, we know the PlayStation 4 is outselling the Xbox One 2-1, flat out 2-1, and they have these games which were Xbox One exclusives, but they cannot achieve the sales numbers of the PlayStation 4. And so what they're now having to do in order to increase the sales number of these games is what should be a fairly straightforward, easily port over to PC to increase the sales numbers of these games. Basically, they're trying to pool the number of high-end gaming PCs along with their Xbox One people all along the same time, saying, look, Windows 10 people, look, Windows PC gamers, we love gaming. This is all for you.
Well, this is, I don't know if we have it on here, but I was reading an article earlier today too about how, Microsoft wants their store to basically compete with Steam. And Tomb Raider was the first game that they put on the platform, yada, yada, yada. To me, the Windows store is never going to compete with Steam as the PC game. It's not going to be the go-to PC gaming platform ever. And if they think that by offering these games, in their mind, cross-platform is going to do that, it's not. It's not going to work, like, at all, ever, in a million fucking years.
Well, they'll still sell these games on their store, and they just don't want to take that cut from Valve. 30% cut. It's usually around 30%.
But if you
putting a game on Steam or putting a game on Origin, and they just want to make that money. So, and they're probably gonna make it. If you want to buy these games, you're gonna go on the Windows Store and buy them, and unfortunately, you have to deal with the Windows Store and all that other bullshit.
Yeah, but who is we? Who is they that's gonna buy it? Because if you play PC games, you already buy them on Steam.
Right. Well, they're not going to be on Steam is the problem. So they're going the route of Origin, basically saying we're going to take our toys and we're going to hold them in our own little store here. So, as a PC gamer, and I'm not ever going to buy an Xbox One. It's just not going to happen. But if Scalebound ends up looking like a really good game, or Quantum Break, or Recore, I may be inclined to buy them.
I mean, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. If they're gonna hold stuff onto their store, and it's the only way you're gonna be able to access it, then I guess that's the way you're gonna buy it. You don't really have much of a choice after that.
Now, there's going to be some considerations, like does the Microsoft Store offer refunds? We'll see.
Again, that's a good one. We're
Because
gonna have to see. Yeah,
every other digital distribution platform except for Ubisoft's Uplay at this point offers refunds.
Right.
They don't offer refunds on Xbox Live, so I don't see why they would offer refunds on the Windows Store.
Well, we'll see.
All right, so I think we've kind of known this already, but Ubisoft has officially recognized now that they will not be releasing an Assassin's Creed main series game this year. That you'll have to wait for next year to get that. So that is now official.
We've talked about this. This was a rumor, and now they have flat out come out and said, because of the shitty fucking reception of past Assassin's Creed games, we're not making a new one this year. We're going to refocus on the actual story and the gameplay and try to come up with some innovative mechanics, and I don't know, hopefully they surprise us.
Yeah, maybe the next one will be really good.
They need to focus on messing up Far Cry.
Look, there was a break between the last Assassin's Creed and Black Flag, and Black Flag came out and just wowed everybody. Black Flag wasn't phenomenal, and then not so much.
Well, I heard Syndicate wasn't that bad. It was less of a buggy mess. It launched pretty, not smoothly, but
it got good reception.
It was well received.
Yeah.
Just was overshadowed by the previous years, the loss of faith, I guess, in Ubisoft's.
Well, apparently Ubisoft is directly blaming the bug-filled release of Unity.
At least they're taking responsibility for it.
So they understand
for
that it was Unity that caused the sales of Syndicate.
Oh, we know what the problem is.
That's the actual problem, yes.
Well, good on them. So, May, you'll have to take us through this last one, but Koei Tecmo is apparently reorganizing into multiple brands. What is the impact of this?
Not much.
Okay, not much.
Okay.
I think it's a pretty big deal, though. I mean, it's good that they're...
Refresh us. What does Koei Tecmo, what do they produce? What do they publish?
They produce a lot of games. They're rebranding in the 5 different branches. Shibusawa Co., which makes Bunaga's Ambition, or whatever it is. Romance of Freaking...
Quit laughing, Gray.
Winning Post, Age of Discovery. I don't even really know their games. Omega Force. It deals with Dynasty Warriors, Samurai Warriors, and Toei-Kiden. So
they're bigger in the East, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they're bigger in the East. Team Ninja, Dead or Alive series, Ninja Gaiden.
That one I know.
Yeah. So yeah, that's... And Gust, which is probably my favorite out of all of them. Artillery, Seal No Surge, Night Azure, the Arno Surge, Tonoiko games, whatever.
So they're doing the opposite of Sony, where Sony's kind of like shoring up things into one building. Koei Tecmo is kind of like differentiating their 3 branches currently into like 5 different branches, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're gonna, Team Ninja makes those hard games that have bouncing boobies. Gus makes the JRPGs usually.
Okay.
Ruby Party makes, which is the one I didn't mention yet, but they make visual novels. And Omega Force is Dynasty Warriors primarily, and the Toei-Kiden, which is like Monster Hunter style games. And I believe Shibusawa Co. is strategy games, I think.
All right, so they're getting their shit in line. So let's talk about a company that is failing to get their shit in line. Nintendo.
Oh, somebody should wake Papa up here.
Papa, you're gonna have to talk now. So just this past week or two, Nintendo talked a little bit more about their Miitomo plans So yeah, apparently you can now sign up for the new Nintendo account. And if you do that, you're going to get some extra bonus points, platinum points. And you can now customize your Mii, which is kind of like your little online avatar guy, whatever. And this is all in preparation for some kind of microtransaction platform that's going to be based around Nintendo IPs or something like that. And you're going to be able to get cool costumes for your Mii and all that other bullshit. Apparently, no one was impressed by any of this crap because their shares dropped 17% in a week, by the way.
The funny thing was,
there's other reasons why the shares dropped 17%. Just look at the economy. I've been looking at my 401k this past week. The motherfucker just keeps going down, and that's not good news for anybody, especially not me in my retirement. But I took a look at it, and it's basically like taking your Mii, making it a very, very true to self image rather than being limited with all their other very little things. But it costs money to do that, which is kind of stupid.
Yeah.
And it really just hinges on a bunch of extra automated social interaction bullshit, such as asking you questions, such as, what did you do this weekend? As if, I really thought about that myself or gave a shit, or as if any of my friends gave a shit. And whatever you tell it, it'll go out and spread the good word.
Right. So this now connects you to Facebook and Twitter. It's kind of like the thing that Nintendo's now actually hooking up into the main world here.
And you can put your Mii inside pictures you take. I saw some interesting things that I don't know why. Just put yourself in the picture.
You don't know why. Well, this is kind of just the ground floor on this, right? I mean, we haven't really seen what the full capability is of this whole thing. I mean, Nintendo just opened up registrations, and there's more to come with this. But so far, it's just kind of an avatar, right? And connected to your Twitter and your Facebook account?
Xbox
as of right now, yes.
360. I mean, it's the same damn thing.
Kind of the same thing. Yeah, you could take a picture of yourself. I mean,
AI Monster and I, we had a pretty interesting discussion over the last week here, and yeah, we did.
You guys weren't fighting and flinging poo at each other?
No, we never fight.
That is an interesting discussion.
It was a discussion. We were talking about Nintendo's strategy going forward, the new marketing strategy.
There's a strategy?
There's a strategy. Where they were talking about, we talked about this a couple of podcasts ago too, if you recall, where Nintendo was wanting to branch out their marketing. They wanted to get into more like non-video game games, like card games, and they wanted to get into like TV and cinema and cartoons. And
TV, sports.
I was sincerely upholding this move. I said this is a good move for them. Like, and I equated to Disney. Like, if you talk about like Disney, okay, Disney is like Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is Disney. Those two trademarks, those two brands are like one and the same. And like, I think that's fallen away from Nintendo. When people think Nintendo anymore, they don't think Mario, and they need to. Like, we grew up with Mario cartoons, the Mario show and whatnot. Like, Nintendo and Mario to me are absolutely, they were terrible, but let's face it, the marketing left its impression. The two are synonymous for me. Like, if I think Nintendo, I think Mario, and vice versa. But I think the problem is Nintendo's having is they tend to cater to like a younger generation, but the younger generation coming up right now doesn't have that link built up. They don't equate Nintendo to these franchises that Nintendo has. And I was saying, if Nintendo can achieve that, if they can get this newer generation of gamers coming online, the 9-10-year-olds and whatnot, and get them linked up and get in to say like, hey, these games are fun. Nintendo is about fun, and Nintendo has these franchises. That's nothing but good for Nintendo. And then AI Monster's argument was, yeah, but the direction they're going with it is kind of questionable right now, and it could hurt them. And seeing this me-to-me stuff, it's very questionable.
The Miitomo, the electronic toothbrushes, I won't say it's not questionable. They're definitely going a more heavy on the merchandising route, which is good in some respects because that pushes product, makes money. But maybe I'm just, bitter, but that stock closing price went from about, I don't know, is it 17,000 yen to 14,350 yen at the closing based on the article that's in our podcast document. 14,350 yen is still like $127 a share. That's still pretty fucking good compared to what my company's worth.
Yeah, but
That was just
Nintendo
a drop
also
in 1 week, though.
Nintendo also posted
Steadily dropping.
$150 million loss last year. Like,
Yeah, they've been doing nothing but losses, except on Amiibos, and that's why they're going this direction, because they're seeing the success of the Amiibos. They're making money off that. They might even be getting more people into Nintendo if they could buy these little figurines to play around with too.
I'm sure Nintendo is partnering.
I don't disagree. It is questionable, but I also got to agree with Notice here too. Is that it's difficult now because back when like people like you and me, and all of us really here in the podcast, when we were growing up in the 80s and the 90s, that was like the only thing around. It was Nintendo and Sega, and maybe a little later, like PlayStation. So it was real easy to capture the audience because this is the popular thing back in the day, and there was only one or two companies at a time that were ever really into it, because as Sony came along with their PlayStation 1, Sega kind of faded out.
Yeah, Nintendo set the trend.
Nintendo
set the trend.
You got a lot of players. You got PC, you got Nintendo, you got Sony, you got Microsoft, you got a whole lot of shit. And they weren't prepared for it. They haven't been prepared for it, and they got to figure out something. So any step in a forward direction is a step. Might not be as far forward as I want, but...
This is bad for us, though. I mean, I don't care about Nintendo merchandise and them putting television shows and everything. I want hardcore Nintendo products, and
that's right. You don't care,
it, so.
But Nintendo has to look at getting a larger fan base. They have to look at capturing a new generation, and that's what they're truly going for with this new marketing push. So
listen, not for nothing, but to sell 20 million plus Amiibos, like we talked about on the last podcast, they're not just selling those. They're not selling those to little kids. They're selling them to people that are our age, who want little Mario figurines to put on their, by their fucking DVR or whatever. Like that's what sells. So they're sticking with it, and good on them for the merchandise thing. But Papa, to your point, you're right. When we were growing up, Nintendo's Mario was the face of gaming, and Sega only pushed Sonic because they realized that in order to have a share in the market, you needed to have a face to your thing. And PlayStation did the same thing. They tried to push Crash Bandicoot as their mascot or whatever the case may be. And we don't see that.
Who's making a comeback, by the way?
Who's making a comeback?
Crash Bandicoot or Spyro.
Right, or Spyro.
I remember.
But Nintendo didn't move on. Like they didn't evolve with the gaming world. Took their sort of cue and then ran away with it to what was modern, and Nintendo stayed kind of right where it was, and they're still right there, but now they're starting to pick it up a little bit. Like the merchandise is great. We're going to know this time next year, if they're making money again, with the NX coming out. Like Nintendo has a lot of good shit coming around the corner. It's a shame that we're not going to see what Iwata's plan was, but hopefully this new guy is going to take it away.
I think Nintendo's honestly on like a 2 or 3 year plan here. Like they need to increase their market saturation into other media like immensely, and they have that plan.
They're planning on that, yeah.
And so we'll see how they execute on it. So in I'd say about 2 or 3 years here, we'll see how it plays out for them.
Here's the best strategy Nintendo could do, period. And this is going to make them mountains of money, increase their brand recognition and everything. If they just stop developing fucking consoles and go ahead and release their games on PlayStation and Microsoft consoles, bam. Everyone's gonna buy a Nintendo game, period. Every single gamer will have a fucking Nintendo game. They'll have every single Nintendo game that ever releases. Nintendo will be the biggest company. They'll be 10 times bigger than EA.
But we know that right now that's not necessarily part of their plan. They're doing this whole mobile thing so that they can control where their IP goes for the time being, because they're still holding it very close to the vest, They're going to try it. And when they post next year's first quarter, financial report, we'll know if they lost more than $150 million or if they're actually doing better. That's what I mean. I'm not saying we're going to hear the whole plan.
Even they put the development on all the other consoles, what's that going to increase their development time by, considering the completely different architectures and hardware between the two? Are we going to see a Zelda game every 6 years now? Or is it still going to be every 4 years? But,
no, it'll be even faster because it's using PC architecture that the majority of people know how to program for.
Yeah, and maybe it will teach Nintendo how to move into the real world.
I don't know. I still it'll definitely move more units that way, but I don't think it'll help in the long run because
that's
of
what they need, though, right?
sheer development time. They need to push units of some type, and they motherfucking need to release a Metroid game.
Yeah.
There's been too many goddamn years since I've had a Metroid game.
Yeah, but Metroid games don't push units.
No, they don't.
That's bullshit.
Zelda
They don't
games
sell
will
that
push
much.
units. Smash
Pushes
Brothers.
my units.
Smash Brothers on your Xbox and your PlayStation will push units. It will push units. Anyway, I just briefly mentioned there was apparently a Wii shortage in Japan, and Nintendo wants to intent on making Pokken Tournament, which is the Pokemon fighting game. They want to put that at Evo this year as well.
It is at Evo.
It is at Evo, so you can watch it.
Full on esport.
You can watch it happen.
They're making tournaments for it and everything. So
Hey, you can go to a local GameStop in one of like 9 locations across the United States on February 27th, and try to win your division, and then you go get trained by a professional, fighting game player, aka Turbo Virgin Nerd, and go like to the World Championships or some shit in March at the flagship Nintendo store.
Be kind of neat.
Which is a nice store, by the way, if you guys never been and you're up and around the Big Apple in Manhattan. Nice store, nice place.
Goes there all the time. Goes there all the time. He works really close to there, actually.
Nice. Can he give me free shit or reduced shit?
I doubt it, since he doesn't actually work there.
No.
He just works near it.
Oh, well, what the fuck? Giving me extra hope.
All right, so the last bit is we're going to mention. So the 19th annual DICE Awards happened on the 18th, and I was looking over the list of the winners for some of these categories. I gotta tell you, I don't even know. Some of the highlights for me on here that were questionable: Fallout 4 being Game of the Year, Star Wars Battlefront being Action Game of the Year. Fighting Game of the Year being Mortal Kombat X. Not after the shit Warner Brothers pulled. No thanks.
But there was no other fighting games that released.
Yeah, well, then that just means you don't give it to them. How about that?
But I mean, Fallout. How does Fallout 4 keep getting Game of the Year? Because
Outstanding achievement in game direction. Fallout 4, Bethesda Software. What?
I don't get that either. You guys know I'm a huge Fallout fan, but that game did not innovate enough
Action
to be
Game of the Year, Star Wars Battlefront.
What? That's a bullshit award. This is why we didn't cover this crap, because there's apparently nothing really going on here. But Satoru Iwata was posthumously given a Lifetime Achievement Award there as well, and Reggie Fils-Aimé had something to say about it. Pretty good.
And Kojima got an award too.
Kojima got an award as well.
Guillermo del Toro, however you pronounce his name.
But yes, Kojima was honored.
Guillermo del Toro.
The awards The Witcher 3 won were okay. Outstanding achievement in story, they won. CD Projekt Red. Outstanding achievement in game design, they won outstanding technical achievement, which is, again, I don't know, that's kind of a questionable thing. But they did do a lot of stuff with the engine, I suppose. That last year gaming was good last year, but
I can see
technical games. Right?
Battlefront getting the technical achievement award, because that game was a technical achievement.
Well, I mean, we talked a lot, during our Game of the Awards thing too. Like CD Projekt Red did do a lot with the Witcher 3 engine. This game just did a lot of stuff, and that really wasn't. The gameplay elements, the way story unfolded, wasn't a problem with the engine itself. It was more like the movement and other janky shit that happened. The story, the technical stuff of the engine itself was pretty good. So let's talk a little bit about announcements and debuts. Who wants to take us through this one? I don't know any of the games on here.
I guess I will.
I think I'd be Monster myself.
First one. Oh yeah, first couple. Okay, yeah, go for it, guys. Ignatius wants to start us off, right?
Master of Orion. This is a reboot. The quintessential, like the genre, the game that started a genre, basically. This is a turn-based 4X game in space. You go out in space, you discover planets, you build an empire, basically.
Do stuff in space.
You do stuff in space. If you don't know what fucking Master of Orion is, I am sorry. I don't know how. Like you should know this game. It's a turn-based strategy game in space. It's the quintessential game that started the 4X chain. You explore, you research, you build, you conquer, you engage in diplomacy. This is one of the most beloved games in PC gaming history. Like you go look at any top 10 PC game list of all time, Master of Orion is fucking in there. So that these guys are rebooting this. Okay.
Hopefully they do this one justice with the reboot. I've
It
never played it myself, but I am aware of the game.
Oh my god, they have voice actors. They've got Mark Hamill, who else? Ton of people in this one. Hang on. Yeah, Michael Dorn. I mean,
Worf.
Who else? Worf. Yeah, Worf is in there. Dwight Schultz from Babylon 5. Robert Englund from who was Freddy Krueger on Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, they've got so many good people. Alan Tudyk, who was was Wash in Firefly, and a ton of other stuff. I mean, phenomenal cast of voice actors behind this game, and the game looks tremendous.
I love how these space sci-fi game developers always snag like a lot of really great, voice acting. Like Star Citizen's doing that, and these guys are doing it. Wing Commander did for a long time. Like that's great to see.
Spending all your money on voice acting is definitely a good strategy.
But it's a great strategy because a lot of times you'll get these games that come out and they're like, oh, the voice acting just was uninspired or no fun, like Destiny. Like, not to put down Peter Dinklage at all.
I don't think that was the reason
that wasn't a good example.
That wasn't a problem with the main problem with Destiny. But I don't think voice acting is that big a deal in games.
But yeah, if you love grand strategy games and you've been waiting for a good one, this is going to be a good one.
All right, Master of Orion reboot coming soon. All right, do this one. Telltale's Walking Dead: The Michonne. Michonne is coming on February 23rd. That's today's Sunday, 21st. So that's 2 days from now. This one's going to be sort of a short entry into the Telltale Walking Dead series, if you've been playing it. I imagine it's probably going to be a little longer than 400 days, which was their in-between episodes 1 and 2 thing. I guess they're going to be introducing her as a character in Season 3, and that's why they're doing this.
Yeah, I lost touch with that series after like the second season of The Walking Dead, the Telltale's second season of The Walking Dead.
Well, that's where they're still at. Yeah. They've only done 2 seasons, so
it's definitely going to be longer than whatever the 400 days DLC was, because
that DLC was like 2 hours long.
This is broken up into different episodes, just like most Telltale games. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same size as most Telltale games.
Right. Yeah. And the other one was only like 2 micro chapters. They were each maybe like an hour long, and it kind of didn't really tell you a whole lot about season 2. The tie-in was kind of vague, but if you're one of those storyline people who likes to read everything, it made sense. All right, I'm done.
Who the hell is Michonne?
Michonne is the black samurai chick in Walking Dead who cuts people apart with a giant katana. She also keeps 2 walkers with her to protection. She broke their jaw off and all their arms so they can't grab and bite. And she learned that they keep other walkers away from her. She walks around like a cloak over herself. She's basically the ultimate badass chick.
Now, is this going to be hindered like the other Telltale games that rely too much on characters from the series, like Game of Thrones?
No, you know what? Telltale in the very first season of The Walking Dead, they did run across Glenn, who's the Asian guy on the show, but that's kind of where the game broke off. And that was in the first or second chapter of the first game, and they have never returned to the characters from the show at all. This is a completely side story that goes on. It has nothing to do with the show. But I imagine that her presence in the 3rd season will probably be very light, if anything, because they tend to we kind of already know where the characters went in the comic and the show, so there really can't be too much interaction except stuff that happens.
That's what I'm saying. Is this game going to be hindered by that?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but I probably will pick this one up when it goes on sale for the first time. Probably in the summer when I can actually sit down and play this one. All right, let's move on.
It's Telltale, so I'm going to pick it up.
Yeah, it's Telltale. It's gonna be all right.
Who wants to talk about the next one? Is that me?
You put these ones up here, so
Yeah, I guess you're on.
Yeah, they're making another Tron game
Yeah.
based on the Tron movie. Yeah, so it's called Tron Run/R. So look forward to it, I guess.
I guess so.
Project Elia is debuted. It's a horror game. I think it's set in space, maybe. I don't remember. It was a while before I watched it.
It is a VR game, though.
Yeah, it's going to use VR. You don't have to use VR to play it, but
it's an Unreal Engine.
Yeah. So there's that. It's going to be a walking simulator, I believe, for lack of a better term. And another game to really
can we just say first-person adventure for instead of walking simulator?
It is, yeah, it's first.
Because I don't know, because that's not a good description of it.
We're gonna.
I think walking simulator is a better description than most things. So
I think first-person adventure sounds a little bit better.
All right, whatever. Interactive narrative exploration game.
Whatever helps you sleep better at night.
Only won the game. It's a game by Kanye West, and it's probably going to be designed to stroke his ego more. So, if you like Kanye West, get it, I guess.
I'm looking at the trailer for this game. I have no idea what.
There's unicorns.
Kanye West, yeah, it's unicorns and angels, and you fly, and it's the fuck knows. The trailer is crappy. Also, really crappy quality. It's gonna be an iOS game, I imagine.
What else we got?
Yeah, there's a rumor that there's a new Samurai Showdown coming out, 2017. That's pretty awesome. Did you say you would play that?
No, I said that could be entertaining for you fighter guys.
I heard I'm going to play Samurai Showdown when it comes out.
IGC game night.
You're
October 2017.
Monster is just determined to get me playing a fighting game, and at some point I may get drunk enough where I will capitulate and join him.
Only takes a couple of drinks.
I would take more than a couple.
All right, Sadame is an action RPG coming out for the 3DS. It's coming out February 25th, so you'll be able to pick it up pretty soon.
Okay, well, let's just move on.
All right, the Wild 8 debut. I don't know really much to say about this game since the trailer didn't really give me a good impression of the gameplay.
Yeah, so there's 8 dudes, and I guess your plane crash lands and going through the wilderness, surviving maybe.
I'm calling it adventure survival.
That's probably we'll find out in fall because that's
probably. This is like a new game that might be played on game night. Overcooked.
I like co-op stuff.
It's a co-op cooking game.
Oh,
it's pretty interesting.
I saw this one.
Yeah, I would probably pick this up if it goes on sale.
All right, I'm looking at the trailer. If it goes on sale, I'm in.
Yep, I'm in.
That's a game night game right there. We got Atlas Reactor, a turn-based strategy RPG. So if you're into games like XCOM, this is pretty close to it. Of course, there's XCOM 2 you could always buy, but
if it ever goes on sale.
King of Fighters 14 got its first major gameplay trailer.
God damn, they're up to 14 already?
Yep, and there's going to be over 50 fighters in this game. They're doing Cyto 3D. You're still fighting on a 2D plane, but the game's rendered in 3D, just like Guilty Gear and Street Fighter.
Game looks great, running at 120 FPS, that's for sure. Which it will not on your PlayStation, by the way.
Yeah, I think they need to seriously reduce the complexity of inputs in the King of Fighters game. They're probably the worst of any fighting game I played.
I will take your word for it.
Like the double head circle backs in the middle of a combo that you have to input in a frame buffer and things like that. And it's like every attack in the combo is ridiculous, and you're talking about a 20 input combo. Anyway, Claws is, I guess you could say, it's not really an action platformer. It's kind of like
it's another fucking retro looking platformer.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Super Meat Boy wannabe.
So that's coming out. I think that might be PlayStation 4 exclusive. Or is it coming out on PC too?
Trailer just says PlayStation at the end. Well, it is a PlayStation 4 trailer, so I don't know. Not going to put the PC tag on it.
What the hell is this next game, dude?
It's out now though. Close.
Yeah, and the next game's out as well, but we didn't mention it last time because I don't think we had a release date. But Neko Para Volume 2. This is one of the best-selling visual novels on Steam, I believe. It might not be number one, but it's up there. And it's about cat girls. And
clearly,
there's an uncensored version, so...
Yeah, cat girls in maid uniforms.
You can only imagine where that leads.
No place good.
It has positive reviews on Steam, 98%.
I'm glad. All right, so let's briefly touch on the MMOs. So Black Desert went into closed beta 2.
So I've been, for the entire week here, I've been watching you guys like, Black Desert keys are available. Okay, and you've been giving them out. So who has been playing Black Desert?
So I played Black Desert for about 3 hours as a berserker, which is a two-handed axe wielder. I gotta say, I'm not that keen on targetless MMOs, so it was hard for me to get into this one. But the skill tree system seems kind of interesting. I like some of the elements to the gameplay, such as like, you know, your basic attack is like left and right mouse click, but if you like pair that with like a WASD command, like it does something different, like a knockdown or a stun on my class. Like a headbutt while you're running turns into a charging headbutt, which causes like a knockdown. There's some interesting action elements to it. The graphics they're okay. I was only able to run the game on medium to high. Obviously, it was a closed beta weekend. There were a ton of people on. Doing quests was very difficult in prime time, but no queues, you know, which was good. I didn't need to be a premium subscriber like for Blade and Soul to actually play the fucking game.
Did get rubber banding though.
There was a lot of rubber banding, yeah. I mean, there was some server lag. I mean, there was lots of people on. There was a lot of contests and giveaways for keys, so there were a lot of people on, which is good that people getting to try the game, whatever. I don't know. I mean, you know, I don't have a whole lot of games to compare this one to. It seems all right. You know, people have been waiting for this one for a long time. I think it'll do okay. But you know, when it launches, we'll know after 60 days how many people are really going to continue to play this game. One of the interesting elements about it, which has been getting a lot of flack, I'm sure AI knows about this too, is there's no like person-to-person trading at all in the game. The currency you get is sort of locked to your character, and you can buy stuff from NPCs and barter that way. But there is no like. Basically, they found a way to eliminate real money trading by kind of creating like this very insular economy where you get money, you can spend money for yourself, you can't give it away, or there's no auction house, and nothing like that. So I don't know how that's going to affect things, you know, people's likability of the game. You know, because there are people who play MMOs just to kind of make money and to, you know, enjoy those elements of the game, like being crafting and stuff like that. So I don't know. Like, you know, for me, it looks nice. It probably plays really well for someone who's into action or MMORPGs. Not me. That's not really who I am about. Maybe AI can talk a little more. Maybe play a different class or something.
Well, I played the Tamer, and much to my surprise, I did not get a pet. While I played for maybe about 3-4 hours, just like Gray. I found it way too easy. I got a co-op quest 3 levels below 3 levels above what my level was, what the recommended level was, and I killed the monster solo in less than a minute without taking any damage. So I think that's a problem with MMOs, that they start out way too easy because they're trying to introduce the player to all their elements in the game. But I just kind of like nowadays I just want to get it right into the action, and I felt like it didn't really put me into the action. I was just kind of able to pull 20 mobs at once and take them all down without taking much damage. So I mean, it has a lot of other elements to it that are that maybe might put people off. Like there's no level limit, so you could just keep grinding levels over and over again. And there's a big difference in power gaps. You could spam potions in combat. I think they only have like a 20-second cooldown, and they heal you for a lot. So
yeah, I noticed that too. Don't feel threatened.
Yeah, PvP's mostly just whoever has the best gear and can run around and kill people in a few hits. You could take on entire fucking armies of people if you have like 100 levels above them. That's what I've heard.
I don't know the longevity of this game, but it does have a pretty big following of people that are waiting for it for a long time. So it's probably going to have, a decent chunk that stay with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of interest in PvP elements. There's mounted combat. There's sieging. There's only a limited amount of things you get in the world, so people take control of them. Kind of like sandbox elements. There's trade routes, and you could disrupt people's trade routes. And there's interesting stuff they do with energy in the game, kind of like Archage. Your energy builds up as you play, and you could spend the energy on... there's like an NPC minigame where you could do diplomacy with them and increase your affiliation.
Yeah.
With certain NPCs.
Yeah, there's interesting quest dialogue stuff where you have to build reputation before you can ask about like certain people to certain NPCs, and I guess that unlocks further quest lines and stuff like that. Definitely had some interesting elements. I don't know, it wasn't for me. I wasn't a huge fan of the art style either. Kind of rugged. I don't really know how to describe it, to be honest with you. It looks like a Korean MMO, but with
it's
some
not
Western
anime.
elements. Yeah, but not anime. Yeah, it's more like pseudo realism, I guess. All right, so Final Fantasy XIV patch 3.2 hits on Tuesday. Looking forward to some new raid content, new weapon upgrades, all the stuff that normally comes with a patch. Not a whole lot to talk about unless you play the game, but definitely looking forward to it. There's been a lot of live producer letters been going out. We're getting flying mounts, some reason to do old content. The stuff you would expect from an MMO. So look forward to that.
Huzzah!
Huzzah! All right. Let's see. What are we moving on to now? Oh, our final segment here. Well, second to last segment anyway. Upcoming games. So these are going to cover February 22nd to March 6th, leading up to the next podcast. Yeah, why don't you take us through these? Unless you want to have it with me.
I think Nautilus wants to talk about the first one.
All right.
Wow, the ship? Yeah, all right. So the ship remastered. It is a multiplayer murder party. And it's coming out for the PC on February 22nd via Steam. If you've not played the original The Ship, this should be entertaining. Basically, the premise is you are on a cruise ship with a lot of passengers, and you have a goal. Your goal is to assassinate another passenger. And how you choose to assassinate that passenger is entirely up to you. There are a multitude of weapons available to you. You can go find knives. You can go find, bludgeoning weapons. Pretty much anything. Anything you gotta do to kill this other passenger. However, those who are being hunted are also being hunted. So somebody else is hunting you. And so you have to be very careful about how you move through the ship and not put yourself in positions where you can be killed easily. And while you're doing this, you have needs. You still have to eat, you still have to sleep, you still have to use the shower, and
Your ADLs.
Right, your ADLs, yeah. To take care of personal needs, and all of which can make you vulnerable and induce all sorts of entertaining situations. So it's a fun multiplayer game. We enjoyed it a lot. We tried to do it on an IGC game night, but the old version of the ship is just too freaking old, and they haven't updated the Steam network engine, so we couldn't make it happen. But hopefully, we can get a ship night going soon.
Hopefully, yeah. And it's on Steam now, early access. It's LAN only for the multiplayer, but it releases in 2 days. So actually, it releases tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
In 13 hours, it unlocks. And there's supposed to be a discount if you own the original ship, but they don't have the price posted for the remastered version. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to be very curious to see what the price of this game is, because I'm probably going to pick it up right away, just for the hell of it.
We'll see.
All right, next game on the list. I'm sure people are really excited for this one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw
Agatha
this one.
Christie's.
I didn't even bother to put it on here. I'm surprised you did.
Agatha Christie's The ABC Murders. It's an adventure murder mystery type game. It actually has reviews already, but they're not good, as you would imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's out on PS4, Xbox One, February 23rd, if you're really interested in picking that up for whatever reason. Maybe you're a big fan of Agatha Christie. Far Cry Primal is coming out. This was Seifer's pick.
Yep. So that's a tough pick because the Far Cries are generally not like resoundingly well received. Like they are contentious at best.
First one was pretty well received, if I remember.
Well, I mean, they're sandbox first-person shooters, and so this one is actually going way back in time. So it's a sandbox first-person spear-throwing game. I don't know how you want to call this one, but yeah, it involves spirit animals and animal pets.
Right.
Basically prehistoric.
Magical shit will be all tribal.
Right.
You'll build a bow. You'll invent the wheel. All this kinds of crazy shit.
I hope it's an awesome game, but on the other hand, I hope it tanks to see for score because I think he's winning right now.
Yeah, and I also don't
XCOM 2 pick.
I also don't think
Viking had a game that's come out yet.
No, and yours isn't going to come out. None of your games are quarter one.
You
picks.
lost already, Papa. It's over.
Papa's you got the Nintendo credit, dude. You're getting like a solid like 85. You're good.
It's going to get a 95 plus on Zelda if it releases this year.
No, I don't think anybody's going to be that happy with Zelda at all.
But anyway,
after Fallout 4
No.
and The Witcher 3, you think people are going to just say like, "Oh,
Yes.
Nintendo"?
No, different crowd, man.
Fucking
Different crowd.
Different crowd, bro. Different crowd.
Definitely
Plus,
different crowd.
this is legit.
No, this is
Zelda.
this is the year where we call Nintendo to task.
I don't disagree, but
we'll
they're not
see,
going to
but-
compare Zelda to Fallout.
I'm pretty sure.
I am more than willing to compare Zelda to Witcher 3 and Fallout 4.
You might be, but I mean, Zelda is not going to get a low score. There's no way.
It won't.
Because there's too many people indoctrinated on the Mario cartoons.
Right.
Fucking
There you go.
the 80s and 90s.
Anyway,
know your audience.
Yep.
This
They're
part-
trying to proceed,
Go
sir.
ahead. Far Cry Primal is releasing on PS4 and Xbox One February 23rd. You'll be able to pick it up real soon.
Yep.
The Walking Dead Michonne we talked about.
I
It's
think it's Michonne.
Michonne, sorry. I just want to pronounce it like a Japanese name, so.
Yeah, it's on Xbox One.
Xbox One,
PS4,
PS4, PC. Yeah, also on the last generation consoles, PS3 and Xbox 360.
Right.
I don't like talking about that.
Because
February
that,
23rd.
that stale Telltale engine.
Yep. Very easy to port.
Mega Man Legacy Collection is coming out in 3DS. I think we talked about this before because it released on other systems. But yeah, it's Mega Man. Do I need to discuss Mega Man?
Negative.
No.
Okay, yeah, it's coming out 3DS, February 23rd. Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 is coming out. It's a shooter and it has defense elements, kind of like tower defense and other. You're basically defending a point. The zombies are either attacking or defending. You can play as either the zombies or the plants, and it looks pretty interesting. It's coming out PS4, PC, Xbox One. The first Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare game was pretty well received, and this is coming out February 23rd.
Yep.
It is the EA though, PopCap.
Yeah, I mean, they gave away the last Plants vs. Zombies not too long ago. Definitely got a lot of people interested. It's a good game.
They gave it away on
Origin.
PlayStation as well,
Yeah, and on PlayStation, you're right.
but it was for like 2 days or something. They'd be quick on down on it. The Flame in the Flood. This looks interesting. Naughtius will probably want to talk about, right?
Yeah, so I talked about this one many podcasts ago. This is a early access game actually hitting full release now. So this one is a survival, adventure game where you are your player along with a dog. So you have your dog with you at this time. and you have to adventure through these islands basically, where you're collecting materials and crafting traps and weapons or whatnot to survive basically. While when you move on the island, you're heading down these huge like river rapids. Basically, you're guiding a raft like old Oregon Trail style. So it's a lot of fun. It's a difficult game. It rewards creativity and tenacity, but it's a good survival game.
And this is coming out PC and Xbox One, February 24th. So I guess that's an Xbox One exclusive right there.
No.
That's what we call an Xbox One exclusive right now, right?
No.
It releases on PC and Xbox One. It's an Xbox One exclusive.
Kind of. Yeah.
I guess. I'm sure they'll try to butcher it into that direction.
Yeah, I was actually surprised you did not pick this as one of your picks in the draft. I could have sworn this was going to come out. So anyway, Disgaea is releasing on PC. It's an old SRPG, not that old, but PlayStation 2, I think. And it's very, very grindy. You level up and do millions and millions of damage. It comes out on PC February 24th. We talked about it. Sadame is an action RPG coming out for DS February 25th. And again, we talked about this as well. Master of Orion is a 4X game coming out for PC February 26th. Return to Popolo Croesus, a story of seasons fairy tale.
No, sorry.
Jesus.
Popolokoi.
Okay, Return to Popolo Croy, a story of seasons fairy tale. Of course, this has to be a Japanese game.
It would have to be.
It's coming out SRP. It's an SRPG with farming elements for 3DS March 1st. Xseed is pouring this summer. It doesn't look very good. That's my opinion. Mortal Kombat XL is coming out. I guess this is like the complete version of Mortal Kombat X.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Yeah. So fighting game, it's just I wouldn't even call it remasters, just including all the DLC and everything from Mortal Kombat X.
Yeah, all the shit that the PC gamers aren't going to get anymore. So I guess this is another thing they're doing to be like, hey, switch over to the platform, a console platform, and here's all the shit in one package after you already spent $90 on the game on PC. Because Warner Brothers hates PC gamers.
Yeah, whatever. It's coming out PS4, Xbox One.
What they're doing, damn it.
First. Alkahin's Gun, or however you pronounce that name. It's a Hitman type game. It looks like a Hitman clone, basically. It's a stealth game. Coming out for PS4, PC, Xbox One, March 1st. Basically a blatant Hitman ripoff. So if you're really clamoring for some Hitman, that's coming out. Heavy Rain PS4 edition is an adventure QuickTime event style game from David Cage, who everyone loves.
My name is David Cage. I make the best video games in the planet. My games are very innovative, and if you do not play them, you are a terrible person.
Dude, did any of you watch that video I linked like Heavy Rain?
I saw that video long
Oh
time
my
ago.
god, dude, it's hilarious. Like how you can just ignore the QuickTime events, like an entire like chains. And it turns out like something hilarious, like out of like the old Police Squad, TV show, or like the Naked Gun. It's just amazingly hilarious.
Yeah, I definitely recommend, if you're going to get this game, to just try to fail the QuickTime events.
Yep, just fail it. Just watch the hilarity ensue.
Mr. Core
kinda have to be
Contingency, this
creative
is
to fail,
David
but-
Cage again. Just letting you know that that is how the game is designed.
I
to give
David
player-
Cage, then you should go write a new police
To give
squad.
player the expression that they are in control of their gameplay.
No, seriously, I would love for David Cage to go write a new Police Academy film, or maybe a new Airplane film. Because that's what it's like when you fail these QuickTime events. Just like sequentially hilarious. Like he's going through and like a crate of chickens like flies out in front of him, and so you can hit the QuickTime event to avoid the chickens, or you can just ignore it. And he piles into the pack of chickens and picks one up, and it's pecking his face, and he throws it to the side and falls down to the floor, and it's just hilarious.
There's some QuickTime events where like there's a QuickTime event you can fail. Some of them you have to be real creative to fail. Like they're not that easy to fail, but there's a QuickTime event you could fail. The series of QuickTime events where he just keeps getting shot by a shotgun. He's just still standing.
It's like watching Leslie Nielsen in the old Police Squad stuff, dude. It is that funny.
But yeah, it's coming out PS4 March 1st. So yeah, pick it up just for the sake of the hilarity of failing QuickTime events.
It's a pretty good video.
X-Blade Code Embryo is releasing on PC. It's a visual novel based on the BlazBlue universe, because that's what people were asking for.
Yeah.
A quality BlazBlue story. It's coming out PC March 1st. To get a Vita game on the PC again.
Can't wait.
Another Vita game coming out on PC. I mean, obviously, these games released outside of Vita as well, but BlazBlue Chrono Phantasma Extend. I'm sure me and Papa are going to get this. Convinced Gray to get it too.
No, that's all right.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, you're going to get it. You're going to get it.
Going to gift it to you. You're getting it whether you like it or not.
Anyway, I'm going to wreck you in BlazBlue. It's coming out PC March 1st. The Witch and the 100 Night Revival. We got a lot of games that's releasing on remasters and
Japanese
remakes.
Game.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't really that well received, but it's getting a revival edition, which is going to include a lot more content. And it's an action RPG. It's in a remaster. And it's coming out PS4 March 1st. And finally, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD is coming out. It's an adventure game. It's a Zelda game.
Shit's coming for me.
We know what it is.
Wait, you're gonna play it again? You're gonna play the same game you played before?
Well, that's the problem. I never played it back in the day.
Unforgivable, sir.
So this is a new experience for me.
You are the Nintendo sensei around here.
Are you going to get an amiibo for it so you can unlock that extra dungeon?
Well, it comes with it. Like, you go order it off Amazon and it comes with it.
Does it?
Yeah, if you get the physical copy, it comes with the fucking amiibo.
Oh boy.
But still the $60, and then you get the 20% or whatever. So it basically got it for $57 or no wait I can't count.
Is that your first amiibo?
Yes.
Oh God! It begins.
I know, right?
It's a free sample.
Oh God!
You are on a downslope. All right, so that's all that stuff. So let's do the fantasy video game draft updates for 2016. So there's no release date changes. Just to reiterate, an upcoming game, Far Cry Primal was chosen. That's February 23rd. And here are some scores that came out for games that just released. Firewatch, 97. What is it? No, I was right the first time. 79.
Average.
That's the average.
PlayStation 4 and PC.
Yeah, and it probably got a few points off due to technical issues on PS4.
Which they've patched.
Yes, they patched it, but it did get points off.
Yep, and I don't fault anybody for knocking them off. If you bought that game on day one on PS4, you had technical issues.
All right, Street Fighter V scored a 77. Unraveled was a 78. The Witness was an 87 on Metacritic, and XCOM 2 was an 88.
So I had Firewatch. I think Monster had Street Fighter, and
I am regretting it.
Yeah.
And I had Unraveled.
None of us did well this time around.
No,
so.
This is a bad round. Bad round. Except for Seifer.
Who picked a Witness? That was me, right?
That was you, sir.
Me?
How is Seifer doing so damn good?
Okay. And Seifer,
he was trolling. He was trolling
yeah.
that whole fucking draft.
He only has one
Because
game.
he didn't care.
Only one game came out so far for everyone except me. I have two, and
You got 2.
Street Fighter.
I think I have something. I don't have anything coming up soon.
And
Oh,
Overwatch added a new progression system in the closed beta. We'll see
Souls
how
game
that
coming up.
affects the score.
Oh,
Now this progression
no,
system is cosmetic only, so it's not
Right.
like you don't get an advantage over other players.
Well, I mean, if you know anything about this basic system of the game, then you know, it's all rock, paper, scissors the whole time anyway. So yeah, so
What?
we'll see how that affects the score. Every character has like several counters or whatever, and you can switch characters, you know, in between rounds and stuff when you respawn.
But it's going to be primarily based on your skill. I mean,
Well, of course,
Still
but
an
there still
FPS.
are good hard counters to certain things. It's a blend.
well, you could pick somebody who hard counter somebody, but if you don't have skill, you're not going to beat them.
Well, of course. That's just video games. Do we need to explain that to everybody? You suck, you suck. You're good, you're good. All right, so that wraps up the 58th episode of the IGC podcast. We will be back in 2 weeks. That's Sunday, March 6th, right? I think.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Be my last podcast for. Or wait, no. Is that the last one?
Well, you tell us when we get there, Papa. In the meantime, if you like what you're
It will
listening
be.
to, all right, so you're not going to be here for 59 onward. We will miss you. We'll have to try to replace you. In the meantime, if you like what you're listening to, you can follow us on Twitter at impact_gamingcm. You can check out our YouTube videos where we post the podcast at Impact Gaming Videos. Or just search for us on iTunes. Listen to us on your handset all day long by searching for IGC Podcast. Subscribe, leave us a review. We do stream our Friday night stuff right on the website via Twitch. This very channel, twitch.tv/GrayGeraldin. That's JORILDYN. Or you can check us out just by going to our website, impact-gaming.us/streams. And of course, you can always email us questions at podcast@impact-gaming.us. We really appreciate you guys listening to the podcast. I think we're up to like 30 some odd listeners now. That's how many downloads, like full downloads we get in the back end. So whoever you are out there, check us out. Talk to your friends about us. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Twitch. All that good stuff. We'll be back in 2 weeks again on Sunday, March 6th, and we will pop up in your podcast feed the day after. Take it easy, guys. Thanks for listening, and until next time, game on.